Coach, just talk about a game similar, I'm sure, somewhat to Northern State, where I'm sure you felt this was a winnable game, a game that your team was very much in it. Just talk about that a little bit, that aspect of the competition there.
Yeah, I mean it was a heartbreaking loss on Saturday. I think more because we knew we could win. Um, when we played Northern earlier in the year, I don't know if we knew we could win, and we came out of that game kind of realizing that we could, and that's part of our belief process. But going into the Southwest game, our guys knew that they could win, but then we just made way too many mistakes through the course of the game. That then we started to falter in that belief a little bit, and we're still at that point where sometimes we need to have something good happen to let that belief truly come shining through for us, as opposed to just believing all the way through. So it took a long time for us to get going offensively. We didn't have a very good first half. We only had 15 offensive plays. So they dominated the first half. They were able to move the ball up and down the field. It's I'm not a huge fan of bend but don't break defense. I'd rather not bend at all. But to be able to get off the field like we did was a positive to keep it close. We got the pick six, which was a huge play for us, and sparked a little bit of life into us. But then we fumble, giving them phenomenal field position, and they were able to capitalize. And then right at the end, they throw up a Hail Mary and are able to take that into the locker room with a 14-7 lead. Even though I don't feel like we were outplayed, they made some plays and we weren't making any plays offensively. And then the second half we came out, played a little bit better. We're very committed to the run game. We want to get that going. That's going to help us. And we kept ourselves in that game to the point where we got a field goal and we took the lead late. And they did a great job of moving the ball down the field at the end to score the winning touchdown. And a couple plays we'd like to have back in that drive. Not just the touchdown itself, but there was a fourth down conversion that we'd love to play that one over again. But there's a lot of great things that we learned from it, and unfortunately we didn't get the win. But we're staying competitive. We're doing the little things right, and yesterday, Sunday, our guys, it hurt. I mean, you could tell the pain was still there, but by 7 o'clock last night, the 24 hours is over, and we got to move on to Winona. So. Lots to learn, hurt, but we move forward.
How do you guys keep your confidence up despite what happens on the field?
Well, we have to, the way you have confidence is you have to have success. Success breeds confidence, but you can't just rely on success in a game to have confidence. You have to do it in practice. So, if you want to be a great receiver and catch the big passes, you got to do that all the time in practice. And Levante had that big catch for the touchdown for us to take the lead, and he had a phenomenal week of practice. He was catching everything, and that's where that confidence comes from. So we've got to have that infect everybody, and they all have to practice at that level, so that way we can continue to breed that success to be able to get that confidence. So in the game on Saturday, we're not waiting for something good to happen for us to really buy into the belief.
Can you kind of explain your philosophy on how to defend a Hail Mary, and now that you fell victim to one, has anything about that changed at all?
No, I mean we have a set defense that we would run for a Hail Mary at the last play of the game, but I didn't want to put that out there on the last play of the half because my intimate knowledge of Southwest and knowing some of the things that they like to do offensively, which is a lot of trick plays, and we didn't see any on Saturday. But they do like to do that, and I knew their quarterback was banged up, and he had been in that whole drive until they called that timeout, and then they brought in the backup. So we had already called our call, and I didn't think that their starting quarterback was going to be able to get the ball down there anyways. So I didn't want to put us into a man coverage where we're all running around with our backs to the quarterback. To play for the jump ball, I didn't think that they could perform it. So when the backup came in, and even there, it wasn't your atypical Hail Mary. I mean, you threw it right down the pipe, and it didn't get very high, and we didn't play it very well. We typically, when you play the Hail Mary, you have a guy behind everybody to play for the tip, and we did, but he didn't go up for the ball. He waited for it to come down. You have a jumper that's supposed to go up and knock the ball out, and we misjumped it. And so we actually undercut the receiver, and we jumped too early. and then our middle player just got caught too short, to where he was still in his back pedal, and then he had no momentum to be able to even jump. He didn't even physically jump. It just, he was out of position. So they had 2 players there. We had 3. We were still in good shape. We just didn't perform at the end, and their kid caught the ball. And so yeah, if I could go back, I would put in our Hail Mary defense for that play. But I had a inkling in my gut that we were going to see something tricky, and if we were running around in man, those trick plays can really exploit you. So I didn't want to do that.
How about with your ground game? I know that's been a point that you've been trying to emphasize most of the year, and you seem to be taking steps. And this week they kind of shut you down a little bit. I think, not mistaken, Isaiah was held to under 10 yards rushing. But do you feel that's because they were stacking the box, or how do you feel that they took that run game away a little bit?
Yeah, it was. What teams are going to do, especially we knew Southwest having some struggles against the run game, that they were going to overcommit to the run. And part of what we've got to be able to do, just as we're trying to implement our philosophy and our culture, is that we got to be able to run at anything that someone throws at us, and we have to learn how to perform in those situations. And Ali still had a good day. I want to say he was 70, 80 yards, somewhere in that area. But we've also got to be able to protect if we're going to come back and pass off of it. And we had three or 4 holding penalties, which kill your run game, because now it's 1st and 20, and now you're playing behind the sticks, and you're not in that manageable down. It kind of takes you out of being able to be an effective run team. So we have to be good at it. We have to commit to it. But we also have to be able to handle it too. So even if they're going to throw more at us, more players in the box, whatever it may be, we have to either be able to block it, or we have to be able to check out of it and then not get holding penalties, and be able to make the quick passes, to throw to where they're soft, and be able to move things down the field that way.
And Winona this weekend, can you talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, Winona's a good football team. I think I want to say they're 4-2. They've had some pretty good wins, and they had a tight one against Moorhead this last weekend. And watching it on film, it was they had that rain that we had the morning of the game on Saturday, all through their game. So it was a little bit slick conditions. You can see that some of the balls weren't real crisp on the throws, but I think it's their homecoming, and they have a pretty good crowd for that. So there's going to be a lot of energy. They're going to be a better team than what we've faced in the last 4 weeks. So we definitely have to prepare for that. We have to get our compete level up to ratchet it to another level, and I think that's good. That's got to be part of our progress as well, as being able to compete like we had these last 4 weeks with one of the better teams in our league.
How do you slow down Winona's offense?
We gotta be able to create some negative plays. We've got to be able to take advantage of turnovers. I think for us this last week we had 1, and obviously we scored off of it, but we need to generate 3. That's kind of our goal, and we need to be able to do that. Winona will be a much more diverse offense. That's more of a if you watch them, it's very pro-traditional in terms of when you look at the NFL, where you're going to get a lot of formations, a lot of personnel groups. So they're going to throw a lot of different things at you. And so for us, defensively, we have to be able to play what we do and be able to adjust with what they do, not over-scheme it, and just try to get better at what we do. And that's part of what we did in the second half against Southwest, is we kind of pulled back on a lot of our schemes and just went back to traditional what we're supposed to be about, and we were able to kind of collect ourselves and get ourselves back in a positive position defensively. So going into this game, we just have to play what we do, be able to adjust to everything, and eliminate the explosive plays. That's what killed us on Saturday, and if we can keep the explosive plays down, then I think we got a chance.